Way back in 2009, I did a how-to video on how to do highlines.
I'm setting up a highline for my horse.
But you know, it's been over a decade ago, and I do a lot of things different now. Not only do I have less hair and a great beard, I set up my highline completely differently. I think it's time to revamp, refresh, and revise this piece. So please stick around while we talk about a better way to hold your horses. What do you think, Coco? Hi, I'm Robert, and this is Coco. During most years, I spend the summer trail riding and camping, from front country glamping to backcountry wilderness adventures. During the rest of the year, I teach trail riding and horse camping clinics across the U.S. and internationally to help you escape the arena and enjoy the great outdoors. If you would, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Coco here would sure appreciate it. The highline. At its heart, a highline is just a rope stretched between two sturdy objects. But like most things that seem simple, yes, there's a little bit more to it. Done well, a highline is an exceptionally safe way to corral your animals, but done poorly, there's few things that are more dangerous. Let's take a look at all the pieces, parts involved in a highline, how to set it up, and how to park your ponies on it safely. Let's go. We all know that a horse camping trip begins long before we load the trailer, and the same is true with our highline kit. Let's talk about all the pieces, parts in our highline kit that we should have before we leave the barn. This is my highline kit. It goes with me every place. There's only 5 ingredients to a highline, so fewer ingredients than chocolate chip cookies. If you can make chocolate chip cookies, you can set up a safe and effective highline. And the first part, software, I guess, this is my rope. This is the rope that I use. A lot of people ask me, how long of a rope do I need for a highline? And I guess the answer is, how far apart are your trees? I always carry 100 foot of rope because I would much rather have rope and not need it than need rope and not have it. I like this 3/8 inch diameter rope, and this is 3-strand, which means there are 3 cords that wrap together into one rope. This gives me a nice rough surface for my prusik knots to clamp onto. More on that later. This rope is also made of polyester, which besides being great in 70s shirts, is UV stabilized, and even better, it doesn't stretch very much at all. Our rope. Our second piece of software is our prusiks. Prusik is the name for both the loop and the knot we're going to tie with it. Mine are made out of 7mm climbing cord, and you can either tie a knot to this to make a loop, or like I do, just sew them. This is super strong stuff and it works very well. The third part of our software is our tree saver strap. And tree saver straps, while not maybe completely necessary for a highline, are essential. They're a huge part of leave no trace. They keep our highline from rubbing the bark off the tree and harming the trees. So please always use a tree saver strap. And now onto the hardware. A carabiner. This is a climbing grade carabiner that has a gate in it. Please always get carabiners that have locking gates, and please always use carabiners that are climbing grade. This particular carabiner is 24 kilonewtons on the long axis, which foots out to about 5,000 pounds. So I could lift up Ruger here, as well as Coco, and all the other girls that are in the barn right now. This is very, very strong. This is a lot different from the generic carabiners that you're going to get at the tack store. Get the good stuff. Your horse's life depends on it. And then the fifth and final ingredient is one that I didn't used to use. This is a swivel, and I always use one now. And it's terribly, terribly important to keep your pony's lead from getting twisted up while they're on the highline. This is, again, a climbing grade swivel. One of the things that makes it very nice, it's very light. It's very, very strong. This is rated for about 8,000 pounds, so stronger even than my carabiner. And it has sealed ball bearings. So this is a lot different and a lot stronger, a lot more reliable than some type of Unicaster that you're going to see someplace else. Again, the good stuff is well worth it. Your ponies and yourself are worth it. So there's the 5 ingredients of your highline. Rope, 3/8 inch polyester is great. Our tree saver straps, Please practice leave no trace. Our prusik loops, you can make them yourself and they're a lot cheaper than anything you're going to buy. Climbing grade carabiners and a climbing grade swivel. That's it. If you can make chocolate chip cookies, there's a lot more in depth in doing that than setting up a highline. Now let's go set one up. When I'm looking for a location to set up my highline, I've got a couple things that I like to think about. One, is the area resistant to the pony's hoofs? Is it hard packed soil? Is it rocky soil where they're not going to create a mud pit or make horsemen look bad in the eyes of other user groups? Secondly, I want it away from water, at least 100 feet. Some areas the rules are even more. Check with your regulations on where you're going. Thirdly, when I look at trees for a highline, I always look up. The last thing I want to do is tie to a dead tree for my highline. Bad things will happen. I also like to set up my highline a little ways out of camp. That way the ponies can have their space and I have mine, but I can still see them at night with a flashlight and make sure that everything's okay. Once you've found a good location for your highline, it's time to set it up. Always start with a tree saver strap. And again, tree savers, I really like bright colors. I'm less apt to forget about them when I'm breaking camp. And one of the good things about these tall tree saver straps, or these long tree saver straps, I should say, is that they're a little bit easier to get higher. I like to have mine as high as I can get them, because the whole idea behind the highline is that our ponies can walk underneath it easily. So I've got one tree saver strap up, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie onto it with my rope. Ingredient number 2 of our highline recipe. And I just tie on this end. I don't use any hardware here because you just don't need it. There's no friction. And I tie on the rope with a bowline knot. And I tie the bowline with a slippery hitch or in the bite. And I just tuck the end in so nibbly lips can't do it. Now let's toss this rope down to the other tree where we can get to it easily. We'll grab another tree saver, 2 carabiners, and a prusik. Around the second tree, we'll get this tree saver up as high as we can, just like the last one. We don't want our horses to be real close to the trees, and these help keep them away. If my horses or mules were tied too close to these trees, they could rub, they could chew on them. It would be a bad thing. So another good reason to have a long tree saver is to keep our critters away and out of mischief. On the end of the second tree, I'm going to clip a carabiner into my tree saver strap, and I'm using this carabiner really as a pulley, and it just gives me a nice friction-free area to tighten my rope with. Now if I tried to pull the rope and tighten it like this, it's not going to get very tight. So now what I'm going to do is create a 2-to-1 pulley system. So we're going to go back to Archimedes in ancient Greece, and we are going to make a pulley, a poor man's pulley. So all I'm going to do is create a prusik here, a prusik knot for my prusik loop. Wrap it around nice and snug. I'm going to take my second carabiner, clip into that prusik, run the rope through that, and now I have a pulley system. You can see it's a little too close here, so I'm just going to take and slide it down just a little bit. You can see how it tightens up when I pull on it. Get that highline good and snug. Clip it through that first carabiner again, and now I'm just going to secure it with a half hitch. Throw another half hitch around it to keep nibbling lips on it, and what the heck, we'll just put another on as well. So now our leftover rope, we'll just tuck it behind a tree, keep it out of the way, and now we have our high line set up. Now let's go get a pony and tie him to it. This is Coco, and she's going to help us demonstrate how to tie a horse or a pony or a mule to the high line. What do you think? We're going to park you for just a little bit. So for each animal that I'm going to tie on my high line, I need three things. I need one carabiner that locks, one prusik loop, hello, mwah, and one swivel. So 3 pieces for each critter. And of course the critter and its lead. Come on, Coco. Come here, sweet pea. Walk. Good girl. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this prusik. And I think this is about good. If I were going to tie more on, I would have a little bit bigger space, but I think this is good. I want to tie my critters at least 7 feet or so away from the tree. And these long tree saver straps really help with that. And about 7 feet away from each other. I want to run this prusik through. So she's nice and snug. The more loops you wrap it around, the stronger it is. And I've made these prusik loops from shoelaces before. And the only reason we need this carabiner is because I like having a large anchor space to put Coco's lead through. And so the way I'm going to attach Coco's lead, yes, your lead, to this is I'm just going to run it through the same way I do quick releases on the trailer. So just chain it on out and we are good to go. Now you can see this is pretty long. Walk. Can you walk? Good girl. And Coco's going to be able to reach down and wander and meander quite a bit. I would leave this long like this for during the day when I'm watching. But at nighttime, it's a different story. When I'm not watching her and I don't have eyes right on her, I put this lead up quite a bit to reduce the chances of her getting a leg over it. We all know ponies and mules and horses can sleep standing up. And so that's what she's going to do at night here with a much, much shorter lead. This reduces the chances of her getting a rope burn or a tangle, and we can all sleep much better. Thanks for watching. If you would, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Coco here would sure appreciate it. I'll also have links in the description to all of the equipment that we use today.